Alright, it's recovery time, and when else am I going to get time to sit down and do a race book? So here it is, Sunny Coast Half Ironman, kick off the season. Ooh, yeah. 16 weeks of training to get to the race. As a 4-week build, so it was build 1, 2, 3, deload week 4. We did that 4 times leading up for the race. Currently in a 9-degree pool, so if I'm pausing a lot, that's why. As we got close to race week, it was pretty nervous with government trying to pull any weird strings going on, but we got there in the end and the race was pretty good. Yeah, so I had a nice big Garden vegan meal the night before, carb up, load up, got up at 3:33 AM, toilet, cold shower, it was all good. Just a Cliff Bar with peanut butter and veggie spread for breakfast, first breakfast. Left the Airbnb, headed into transition where I had to rack the night before. And then, yeah, got the bike sussed, tried to open the brakes up because I borrowed a mate's disc wheel, shout out, Dula, cheers for that, as I promoted TLR so well that they ended up hiring out all their disc wheels and I didn't have one to use, so I managed to nip someone else's. Opened that up, got everything set up, laid out, all my gels, everything's sorted to go. But we only had an hour from there till the race start, and then it was a bit of a walk down to the race start where the toilets were. Unfortunately, it was a long wait and I only just made it to the toilet. May have been a little bit of leakage here and there, but we got in, toilet stop done, and the quickest I've ever put my wetsuit on. Chucked all that on, headed over to race start, no warm up, straight into the pen. They called us in and then off we went, so absolutely no warm up, but I knew I'd done the work to get there and I was already on. I'd done all my breath work, breath training, I was activated, I was ready to go.
Go ready!
Thankfully, Liam told me that there was rocks there, so I was aware of that, even though I didn't do a pre-race swim. So now I'm in a 35-degree pool. Much nicer, I can talk properly now. We went off, gun-ho to the first turn, boy, just as any other sprint race. It was a good pack. I was straight in the middle of the pack, that was good. It was a bit of argy-bargy. We turned the boy, there was a lot of arm swinging. Kept getting knocked, bumped, kicked, but it's all part of it. And the best you do at not getting affected by that, the better you swim. So I was like, yeah, whatever, this guy's interrupting his swim, I'll just make sure I stay in this group ahead. A few people were getting dropped off the back of the pack and I was able to stay aware. Actually, you can see where there was a bit of swim attack going on, but we got through. I managed to stay smart, stay aware, know what the pack was doing, but I had no idea where we were going because I missed race briefing on Thursday night because I was working. I don't know why they did that then, when it was a Sunday race. But yeah, I managed to stay in the pack. I was able to, I had a lead kayak for Josh, because Josh come on his own out in front. And all the rest of us just followed and trained from there. Turned the buoy, turned back, headed towards into the sun, just stayed on the bubble, stayed on feet, so that way I knew where I was going. And then, yeah, I was just digging deep, making sure I didn't get dropped. I watched a few people get dropped from the pack. Rattled to be them, but thankfully I made it. Turned the last turn buoy, headed to shore. I'm thankful I got on a little wave as we got into the little wave section, came out with the pack. Absolutely stoked, came out with Sam Benton, Nick Free, Lachlan Soskinski, and then just up ahead of them was Fisher, who else was that? Luke Willian, Kurt McDonald, then Caleb Noble, Steve McKenna, the crew, we just all lined up. We all came into T1 and left pretty much all together.
Nicholas Spring, whoa, flying through the transition. We got Liam McCoach, Fraser Walsh. Nice big bunch coming through the transition now.
I could have done T1 much better. My wetsuit got caught in my ankles pretty much as always, but not everyone had great T1s. It's the benefit of long course is that there's a lot going on. Josh had such a lead, he managed to put his socks on and then ride, and still we had to work to catch him. So we came out of transition, we headed out of town up the hills. It's probably my strength of the ride is coming up those little short hills. I managed to come through a few of the guys who had better transitions than me, get almost onto the main pack at the front, but because I was trying to mess around with the brakes when it was dark, I didn't open them enough, and as I'm swinging the bike around coming up the hills, the disc is hitting the brakes and going, so that was really annoying. A little embarrassing, trying not to be super noisy, but I mean, we still got there. I pretty much just bridged onto the back of the pack. Thankfully I had Lachlan Kieran to sit on as he was hammering the bike. He ended up breaking away at the end, but got onto the pack, sitting on like 47k an hour. I got dropped at about 5-10 k's into the ride. I just couldn't stay with. I saw Skinsey and Big B behind me. They were coming through. I was like, yep, sweet, they'll bridge it across. Unfortunately, Joe lost Jack's wheel. Jack made it to the group. We got left in no man's land. I couldn't then hold Joe's wheel. And then from there, just got past and past and past. But I worked my gels different flavors, so I got to get excited for the next flavor each time. So I started with a chocolate gel at the start of the bike, once we got into the highway, and I think that's why I got dropped. I was dicking around trying to unzip my little carrier I had on the top tube for all my gels, unzipped it, grabbed the gel, looked up, and the gap opened and I just couldn't bridge back across, unfortunately. And then every 20 Ks I had a gel. So at the turn, we turned around at 20 Ks, I had a strawberry or raspberry cliff gel, and I saw Dean Kane's group coming along, sat on with them. That was pretty good. Got sucked along for a little bit and then got dropped. Then we came back into town, headed along the beachfront, had another gel, had a chocolate gel at 40k. Then we came back out into a highway for lap 2, had a blueberry cliff bar at 50k, a raspberry gel at 60k. Tried to sit on with everyone else who passed me, it didn't work, but I used them. I just sat into my own rhythm eventually, just felt good tempo, nose breathe. Took me a little bit and then I was just in my zone. We turned to head back, or I turned to head back into town. Thankfully it was a tailwind on the way back and that was nice and refreshing. I was able to get back in my groove, just nose breathe, just heavy power through. Felt really good, felt strong, came back into it. Had a chocolate gel at 80k, came through the town, had a mocha gel right before coming off the bike. I was cramping up coming over the hills, trying to stretch my legs out. Quads and cars were not happy after the bike effort, trying to hold the guys who ended up averaging 45k an hour for 90ks. Like they rode a 202, I think. Steve did. But yeah, the top guys rode 202. I rode a 212. Massive PB for me. Stoked. I know I've got more room to go, but it's promising signs I'm on the right track. We got off the bike, socks on, and then grabbed my hat, sunnies, race belt, off I went, and a drink bottle. Started the run. It was 2Ks. and I just tried not to get too excited. I think I took off that first K at like high 3:30s. It's going to happen, feeling fresh, just had a mocha gel. And some triathlon Queensland guy in a suit, Mullen or something, came off out of transition with him, which was cool. I don't know what happened to him in transition, but I ended up catching him somehow. He took off, and I was like, all right, I think he's not going to last. I'll settle in, and just sat in my rhythm. Just ran at a solid pace that I thought I could hold, nose breathing strong. The goal was 3:45, but I wasn't adamant to that. I was like, I'll just see what happens. First 2 Ks were good, went over the hill, came back down, and I was sitting on 3:50. And pretty much from there, just stayed on that pace, nose breathing strong, using that as a gauge to know how hard to go. If I felt like I needed to breathe through my mouth, then that's where I sat. Just finding a good tempo, good rhythm. I came really good. I knew the idea was I needed to get to 18 Ks. Then all I've got to do is get up the hill. And then once I'm up the hill, I just got to sprint down the hill and I'm done. So it worked perfectly. I timed it perfectly. I couldn't have executed that race much better. I'm now prepped and ready for short course season. Mentally, I know, because it's literally less than half, or yeah, it's not even half of what we did on the weekend. So I'm firing. I felt really strong until the 40K mark on the bike. I felt really strong until the 16K, 18K mark on the run. So I'm excited to see what happens. I ended up dropping a 4:01. I fueled myself on a run with a little carry bottle filled with trail brew. That was my electrolyte on the bike as well. I think it was too much electrolyte, and maybe I needed just a water bottle, because that first aid station, grabbing a glass or a cup of water, throwing it in my face and my mouth, was so good. Just a clean water. But I think trail brew definitely helped. Having the Cliff Bar gels and the bar on the bike as well, just mixing it up with the bar. It was a bit hard. We needed to chase it with water. But yeah, during the run, having the citrus gels, 25 milligrams of caffeine at 5. I was going to go 5, 10, 15. I ended up having it at 5, 12, and the turnaround point at the end, I just gauged it off the actual course, not the distance. So as we came up the hill and down the hill, and then back up the hill and then down the hill, that's when I had my gel coming down the hill. And then we went out of town, turned around, that's when I had my gel. And then that way I knew all I got to do was get back to the finish. I ran strong, felt strong. Yeah, finished with a 4:01. I think it was a 1:21 run time, a 2:12 bike, and a 23-minute swim. So split was, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was 1:14 pace swim, 40.8k on the average speed on the bike, and 3:50 average speed per kilometre on the run. Super happy, absolutely physically drained and achy. The rest of Sunday and Monday was even worse, but it ended up getting better. We drove home, just unpacking and packing everything. I ended up stretching the legs out, which made them feel good. I woke up this morning feeling pretty good and was like, yeah, Matt, all right. Went to osteo. Tracy was able to do some quick massage and cupping and help flush the legs out. They feel really good. Now I'm in a P3, going between the hot and the cold pools. Spend a bit more time in the hot just to do this for you. For you, not for me. And yeah, then we'll go in the boots, flush the legs out, start training back again tomorrow. I'll see you then. It's time for me to go in the cold pool.